Hello, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to day 29, the continuation of day 29. We kind of started a bit earlier, didn't we? And we're back now. The pretty exciting stuff to happen. Hopefully we're going to finish up our project. That's what I'm hoping for, at least today. Let's see how far we end up getting. No idea what is actually going to end up happening. Because, you know, these things kind of just take a weird twist by themselves. Cool. So I gotta stop trying to fix things and make them better when they aren't broken. Yes, they can look better and be neater, but refactoring... I read a little article somewhere where if the amount that you're going to receive is less than what you would receive doing something else, it's not worth doing it. In this case, we're not receiving anything. It's a good skill that we're receiving, but that's about it. So I'm not going to worry too much about this stuff. I'm just going to try and get it to the basics and get it to a point where it works, because it does work, and then worry about improving it from there. So let me start the live server so that we can see what we're working with. Hey Virani, I'm going to lurk here for a bit without participating in chat, but I'd like to hear how's it going. Sure, yeah, that's cool. I'm just going to be working on trying to get my forms validating the way I want them to, and finish up the CSS, and then hopefully launch this thing. And maybe figure out the animation part, but I feel that's extra. I'm adding a lot of extra things that will take you away from me actually finishing this thing, so I feel I've got to stop myself there, else I'm never really gonna finish this project. We're gonna be on like number 30, number 40, and I still haven't released. A lot has happened, but yeah. Shame. The poor people that could be using this. So I'm gonna really focus on trying to get this out. It looks much better. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I got form validation now, so check. You can like... There's two parts of form validation. There's a part where it checks on a key press. So if I had to enter, like, let's say, a D or an F, you see I get an error, please enter a number. And it fades away nicely. And if I try to scroll, so this is on change. That was on the key press. Now this is on change. So if I scroll down to 0 or -1, it's going to tell me, please enter a number greater than 0. And it will just remove the input. It won't even allow me to do it. So typing doesn't do anything. You can scroll up, but you can't go below 1. It's just going to remove it, because you've got to enter a number greater than 0. If you try and enter anything that's not a number, you get an error. Same for the day. Please enter the day as a numerical value. You can't enter a number less than 0. So that's working. I was wondering why you're doing JS validation. There's a reason for that, because Christopher's actually logged an error. He tried to find out from Stack Overflow. It's basically the way Firefox handles the field. If it's a number, it doesn't do the validation you would expect it to do. You have to change it to text, but then you don't get the number picker. So we don't know if that's like an issue with Firefox itself, but a lot of that doesn't work with the HTML5 validation. So I thought, why not just... There are going to be things that I need to do that HTML5 validation can't do, like show the messages and animate them. So I thought, why not? Might as well chuck it. I have a single function, which is really nice. I built it last night. I think it's this one. That's validate. Monitor form. So basically, it accepts a target, and then you just check the target, and then you give it the requirements. So if the target's value is less than 1 and it's not blank, we can say please enter a number greater than 0. Else, if the target is not a number, we can specify please enter a number. And I did a cool thing here. I used parse int, so that I can take the string, because interestingly enough, all the input on the form is a string, even if it's a number. So I pass that as an integer, and then I check the number, not a number. And if it's not a number, then we specify please enter a number. So that worked nicely. And yeah, I can't use the built-in is nan, because the field is not a number, it's a string. So that's why I have to pass it. So that was pretty cool to figure that out. And then I have a single show error function that basically just toggles classes, error hidden versus error. And what is going on here? Is this broken? Why does it think that the end for this is the H? That's weird. Do you not see... Oh, there you go. It's probably like graphical glitch or something. It's... Why is the E? The E is an opening tag. What? I think there's something wrong with my brackets. There they're fine. There they're fine. Here they're missing out. Okay, I just gotta redo the brackets, I guess. Either that or probably reload the extension. It's fine now. That's weird. Why could you use is nan? Because it's a string. All values on an input are a string. Whether you're entering a string, a number, they're all strings. So I have to convert it. Coerce the string into a number, and then use number, because if I just use parse int by itself, it will coerce anything into a number, whereas number will specifically ensure that what you're passing in is a number. Yeah, I played around with that, trust me. So... why is it doing this? Why is the E an opening bracket? Hold on. Where's my brackets? Bracket pair colorizer. Have you got an update? I'm going to disable you. And then I'm going to re-enable you. And then hopefully you're going to behave better this time. You going to behave now? You good? You're good. You're fine. Good stuff. It does that? Yeah. Probably just needs a refresh, that's all. I can't imagine not using it now that I'm so used to it. It's like it shows you where. It's crazy, huh? But yeah, anyway, what did I say I need to do? Validation. So let's finish the validation. What do I need still? This needs to make sure you're not entering anything that's not a number. There's an issue here I've noticed. If I have a 1 here, but then I remove the 1, it tells me please enter a number. That's not okay. Blank is fine. So why is it doing that? Please enter a number. So it's checking if the value is a number. Obviously it's not going to be. So I think we just need to add a check here to check for blank. And input element dot value not equal to blank. That then should prevent that from happening. So if I go 1 backspace, oh, it still does it. Because it's checking what the value is. That's annoying. What happened now? Did it shut down? Oh, it shut down. Oh, because I restarted the yeah. Is nan, so technically all is fine. You mean this part where I removed... Oh wait, it's fine now. Okay, it's working. Never mind, that did fix it by the way. Wait, now my validation is not working at all. What the... What did I do? Is it still working for less than? Yeah. But now I can enter like text. That broke it. Input element value not equal to... I put and. No, I don't need an or, because then it's gonna check. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. No, but then it'll trigger on everything. Let me just check. So that's fine. If I enter a 1, yeah, that's why I'm worried. It's going to trigger on the number as well, because the OR means literally trigger on everything that is not blank. That's why I wanted to and. It mustn't be a number, and it mustn't be blank. That should have worked, but now not a number. That isn't a number. And not blank. It's not blank. This should trigger. This should trigger. But why is it not triggering? I'm saying it's not a number. Take the value and check if it's a number. And if it's not a number and the value is not blank, give an error. But it's not. Why? Let me just check something. Yeah, it's not that. Is it combining them both? Do I need to separate them in brackets probably? Do something like this maybe? I just removed the brackets. Doesn't think we need them. Ah, that's so annoying. I'm sure we'll figure it out. What am I missing? What am I missing? Let me think. If not a number, right, and the input element, its value, not equal to blank. So if I remove that, then this works. Please enter a number. Why doesn't it want to chain them? Why? Because the reason I need it to check for a blank is because if I put a 1, that's fine. But if I remove that 1, then it's like, please enter a number. All I did was remove it. Let me see what it's doing each time. Log input element.value. So when I enter the 1, it does nothing. I remove the 1, it sees an empty string. I enter the D, I enter the 1, I enter the D, I enter 2322. I add the D. It's logging empty strings each time. Let's just see what input element is. It's input hours, so that is the correct element at least. That's fine. Let's see what the value of this expression would be. True. So it is not a number. The moment I add a D, it's not a number. And if I remove that 2 and I go back, it's also not a number because it detects it on the change. So we triggered it because the moment we backspaced, it checks the value and the value is blank. And we're saying if not a number, so it's saying true. But then why can't I chain and? Let's check something. If, well, let's just do a ternary. Input element dot value. Are you a empty string? True? False? Let's check. Are they lowercase? So D, it is an empty string because it got removed. This should be false, but obviously you're not going to get into there because you're not going to check it. I remove, nothing's happening. Wait, why is nothing happening? That's the question. Because it's only going to go in there if it's not a number. Right, so if I go out now, backspace 1, that's true. Cool. Let me just uncomment this and stick this outside of that if so we can see what we're dealing with. So 2 is going to be false. That's not empty. It's not empty. None of this is empty. That's true because it wiped everything. That's true again because it's an empty string. So that detection for an empty string is fine. So why doesn't this work? If not a number and input element not equal to blank. Do you want me to add like literally an if inside of here? another if, not equal to blank. So if it's not equal to blank, then do that. See if that works. So 2 is fine, that's fine. Now it's not triggering. What the hell? Why? We never get into that function. What? Okay, this is gonna drive me fucking crazy now. Do we get it to the inner if? We do. Every time there's not a number, we get into the inner if. Okay, so that's working. We get into the inner if, fine. But this never triggers. If input element.value not equal to blank. Okay, so when I remove this D, it should be blank. So that's a false. Move it back. We got into the inner if. Then it's supposed to check input element.value. Oh, hold on. In this case, we want it to check for a blank. Okay. So it gets there if it's blank. But we don't want that to trigger. If it's blank, oh, that's like so annoying. This logic, I can't deal with it. Because if I change this to... That's fine. Please enter a number. If I enter a number, cool, but if I remove that number, we get the message, please enter a number, because it's blank. Which we don't want. And it's gonna be blank because this thing replaces it with blank. Why my brain doesn't work today. Why you know work, brain? So if it's not a number, we want to replace it with blank. And show you an error. Please enter a number. But then why, when you enter a 1 and then you remove the 1, you get the same error? Because it checks the value and blank is not a number. We know that. So why can't I have a condition here that says input value not equal to blank. Because when you hit, if you stick a D in there, that is gonna, that's gonna fail. Well, that's gonna be true and that's gonna fail. You wouldn't think this would be that complicated, yet somehow it is. So it works for every case except when you remove the freaking number. Then it validates the form and it notices that the value is blank and you should enter a number, which is not what should be happening. That can be blank. Let's try this. How about this? How about this? What if I have if input element dot value equal to blank, right? So if it's equal to blank, then we're simply should we just return? We can just return. Well, what's a better way? I mean, I just want it to do nothing if it's blank. I just feel it'd be pointless having an if else. Because then that should stop it from doing something if it's blank, so... Why doesn't it trigger this? This is not blank! Fuck! How is that blank? I swear, if it logged in here, I'm just gonna like quit and be done with this. How the fuck do you get here? How? It isn't blank. Unless this is somehow comparing it to a string? This should compare it to a blank, right? How the fuck is that a match? Input element is not fucking blank. So it's not logging the value. When I enter D, it does nothing. It's not logging the value. When I enter, it's It's literally logging nothing. There's something else going on here. It only triggers if I enter a letter. As in, if you enter a number, it does nothing. Entering numbers does nothing. It only gets triggered if you enter a non-number. How does that work? This is very interesting. We've got... What are we working on? We're working on input hours. So we registered monitor form for input hours. That's the only thing we registered on it. Is monitor form. So input hours is being monitored by monitor form. So what is causing this behavior? I'm not missing any brackets. This is crazy. So if I enter a D, then it displays something. If I enter a 1, it doesn't display anything. Is it because the type is a number? Is that why HTML5 validation is doing some crazy stuff to mess with us in the background? The only thing I could think of. So let's change this type to text and let's try again. So it doesn't trigger for the 1. It's not triggering anymore. I think we have our solution. The issue is HTML5 validation. Okay, that's good to know. So that's why it's not triggering on numbers, because numbers are valid, letters are not. So is it treating every letter as an empty string? In that case, this is why this is failing, right? And it's weird. So we're not getting the value of this. We're not getting the value at all. I just noticed that at all. So if I change this back to text, did we ever get a value? I don't think we did we? We get no values at all. If I change this to not equal to blank, do we get values? There's a 2, there's a 2D. Cool, so we're getting what we're typing in. Great, so that's working. So we know that values are working. If I change this back to number, does it still work? We get a 2, we don't get the D. We get 23, we don't get the 23D. So we get all the numbers we're typing. But every time I do a backspace, until the last one, we get that error. So number, and then you get the error. And this is so strange. If we turn this back on, we break the form. I don't know how that's possible. Oh, because of the return, right, it leaves. That's why. So if the element is blank, I want it to do nothing. So I think we've just proven our point. This is definitely not blank. Let's log target value before this if. 2D. So adding D's to it, surprisingly, it no longer wants to log the value. Interesting. So it will log numbers, but I think because of the field type that it's a number, if you enter a D in there, it suddenly turns the entire value blank, aka invalid. So this is not an issue with my logic, this is an issue with how HTML5 validation works. Or in this case, doesn't work. How do we work around this then? So if you enter a string, you can't get the value anymore. That to me sounds like a bug. You should always be able to get the value. Regardless if it's invalid, how are you supposed to know what you're dealing with? So that's something to keep in mind, like be aware. I'm gonna have to make a post on that later. Trying to figure out how we can work around this. So we know it returns an empty string every time. That's not reliable. And that's the exact reason why it doesn't work. Because we're checking for an empty string. Is there another way to get the value? How are we getting the value currently? We're doing dot value. So instead of doing dot value, what if we did inner HTML? Interesting. Inner HTML doesn't return anything either. Interesting. You can't return... Is this yet another feature of HTML5 form validation? You can't return the inner HTML. Does it not exist? Because it's an input field. Interesting. So you can't get... Is there an inner HTML for this? It surely has to be. Hold on. I want to just check something. Document.get element by ID thoughts. Input thoughts dot inner HTML. It is input thoughts. Input thoughts, yeah. The ID is input thoughts. So why aren't we getting the... Oh, hold on. We need to enter it in here. This is crazy! So now we can't get the value? So how's this going to work for our format? Format still gets the value though, of thoughts. So how is that any different to the way we've been doing it? Thoughts was literally... where was log again? This is log. This dot thoughts, and this dot thoughts is get ID value input thoughts. Oh, we do dot value. We never do inner HTML. So returning dot value hopefully allows us to see what's inside of thoughts. Okay, cool. So yeah, it's definitely an HTML5 validation issue then. Because thoughts is a text area, and you can basically enter numbers, text, whatever. But the moment that the input doesn't match the type of the input, so like text number, it just displays an empty string. Which I feel is a bug. I get why it's doing it for validation reasons, but behind the scenes, you should always be able to get the value. Regardless. Like, how do I get the value now? The only way I can get the value is if I change the type to text, but then we lose the ability to have a number picker. Hold on, we're not even getting anything now. There, yeah. So now we're getting the input. Perfectly fine. So if it's text, we get the value, fine. That's so stupid! Let me just see if this is a Firefox issue or if it's the same in Chrome. I'm just gonna check Chrome real quick. So in Chrome, let me just change the type back to number. Chrome doesn't even let you to type in there, just by default. Like it won't let me type in numbers. I don't even have to cancel out with JavaScript. Chrome just automatically cancels it. Firefox is like fucked. Like literally fucked. So in Chrome, it returns the numbers. It won't physically let me type in. Okay, so I think we're gonna have to emulate Chrome's approach, which is do not allow the user to enter text. Which is what we were doing under here. If the key is not a number, prevent default. We were doing that, but oh, we only have validate on... Okay, I see what's going on here. We don't have validate for input hours. So we're gonna have to input hours. This should solve our problem. Then it's gonna be like Chrome. On key press, validate E, and then we need to specify an error number. What is that? Please enter the hours spent for this day. That's 0, 1, 2, 3. That should give us what we want then. Because then I can enter 2, that's fine. Enter a letter, you get blocked. Please enter hours spent for this day. Cool. And now we're only getting numbers in the log. So that's one way of doing it, preventing the user from ever entering But the only issue is it's not please enter the hours spent for this day. It's more like... Let's see what we need to do. So we're gonna need a combination of this function and that function. So I need a combined show error here. So what does this function do? It makes sure that whatever you're trying to do in a field prevents you from entering non-numbers in a field. So essentially this only works for non-numbers. It doesn't work for anything else. So this function probably should be changed as well. So instead of validate, we can call it well, it could be like validate numbers only. It's a bit long. I really suck with naming these variables, huh? So we can have it as validate numbers only, and then from there that could still be an array. Still be an array. These need to move out though. I need a whole other function that's going to be called function validate form. That's what it's going to be called, and it's going to have these errors in it. And then these errors aren't going to exist. We want please enter a number in there. Oops, I removed it from the wrong place. And we already have a thing to show errors, so we don't need this entire thing. So that's just going to prevent you from giving the error. Sorry, from entering the whatever key that you're trying to enter. There we need to log an error. So it's show error, event and error string. So we need to pass E, and we also need to pass... Oh, so we could just use this. We could just do it like this. Then we don't even need errors anymore. Oh, but how do you know which one? That's the problem now. Because this, for every key it blocks, it's going to say please enter a number. Because if it's for day, it needs to say please enter the day as a numerical value. And if it's for hours, it needs to say please enter a number. So we need to differentiate between which one it is. So it's going to have to be errors num, I guess. So 0 and 1. I think that should be it now. So if I enter a D here, please enter the day as a numerical value. You can enter anything else, it's fine. No errors. Cool. For hours, if I enter a D, please enter a number. Enter hours. It's perfectly fine. Enter a D. Please enter. So I literally don't need this anymore, the monitor form. What does this thing do now? If it's not a number, it's going to replace what's in there and show you an error as well. We don't need that anymore because we're preventing default. So this is no longer required. But then is this required? If input element is less than 1, and the input element value is not equal to blank, please enter a number greater than 0. Or if that's for something like this, right? If I say 1, it's fine. If I enter less than 1, please enter a number greater than 0. Perfect. Yeah, that works. Yeah, okay. So then we don't need this one anymore. As cool as that was. Then we replace this with please. What was the issue here that I had? Oh, it was please only enter a number. Please only enter numbers? Numerical values? Please only use numerical values, maybe? And this should okay, this didn't validate the same because we didn't register it. So at the bottom we need to register for input minutes. Key press, validate numbers only can have the same error message as well because they share it pretty much. Cool. So that works. Wow. That gave me a headache and a half. Jeez. I don't think we need any validation here. It just mustn't be blank. Other than that, there's nothing really that a user could put in here that would be an issue, I think. This, I was thinking of just making sure that they don't accidentally put a URL in here. So I think we need a regex here. Let's go write a quick regex. Where we're going to look for www dot. Is there an easy way to... I don't think regex has any built-in is URL. I don't think there's also JavaScript is URL functions. So we're going to build a basic regex that is going to cover both cases. So either www dot And this needs to be in the beginning. So it's going to match www dot and or HTTP as a keyword. But that should be at the beginning as well. We don't care about the colon / /. Oh. I don't think we really care about that. I think we just care about the www. Did I add a dot in there? Yeah, I think the dot is important because they might have something like www. Maybe, who knows? But that dot is definitely a URL. HTTP, I don't see them ever. Then again, that being said, their header could be, their title could be like HTTP header, which is perfectly valid, but then it matches it. So I think we should definitely have HTTP colon. So HTTP colon, if you've got that in there, then it's definitely a URL. Or it could be again a title, HTTP, the big mystery, you know? So do I want to like match one of the how do I escape it? There we go. So HTTP, that's definitely a URL. And I mean, if I copy this page, there's a S in there as well. Can we have like any? What is the any? Isn't that a wildcard for anything? Or is it a dot? Matches any character, yeah. Wait, I need to match a literal dot here. So that will match literally a dot, and then that will match anything. So either HTTP or HTTPS. Cool. And if it was www.google.com, we don't care about the full thing. We just want to know if the user entered a URL. Okay, why is this not matching now? Does it want me to have... Oh. Okay, this needs to be optional, this dot. Match 0 or more of the preceding. Wait, shouldn't that work? Oh, we are needing that. Right, it still needs that. So if I don't have that, it's not gonna work. Where do I need it? Because it seems to work anyway, just fine. If I have it there, or if I have it there, if I have it there. I'm confused now. Does that mean even H... No. That's confusing. Okay, so it has to be HTTP. Cool. That works. We need the colon there. Cool. We need at least one of those. So now we're pretty confident that's a URL. I mean... That's a URL right there. So that's a URL, that's a URL. And it should be case insensitive, because if we have HTTP or www, cool. Then we want to do a monitor form, I guess. So we're going to stick this into our monitor form. And we want to monitor which fields? Title and URL. Input, I think it's title and input title URL, if I'm not mistaken. It's input link title, input link URL. Input link title, input link URL. And then we're going to monitor the forms for both of those. I guess we could do test, right? Just want to see which one we need to use. There's test for a match in a string. So the first one is a pattern. So it should be a regular expression. So this. Dot test input element dot value. Unexpected token? Why? Can I not do it like that? Can I not do the test like that? How do you do an inline check without having to create a variable? Nope, that doesn't work. I guess URL pattern. It's a bit weird that I have to do it this way. Because then I should be able to go URL pattern. Oh, you have to do new regexp. I had no idea you had to do it that way. That's why. Why is this store an unexpected token? It's not. It's definitely not. Is it? How is that an unexpected token? It belongs to the if statement. How? How? How is that unexpected? What are you expecting? Do you want me to completely remove this? Oh, now suddenly it's not an issue? What? I'm gonna chalk it up to it being just a weird fluke or something. I have no idea. Where did we add it again? We added it to monitor form, input link title, and input link URL. That should say URL. Apparently I don't have to do it this way, I can always also do it like this apparently. I do need to escape that. Let's try that now. It is a URL. Yes, it worked! Oh, that's so exciting. It's always great when things work. Now we need to show an error. We don't need an else now that we know that it works. We could just do show error. It shouldn't really be like a error, it should be more like a warning. Heads up. I need to escape that. Oops! Accidentally closed it. Go back there. So www dot heads up. Are you entering a URL as the URL's title? That works. That's cool. So it can like warn you. This is gonna trigger, but only because we set it up like that. So we just need to unsubscribe from that event. We don't need it for link URL. What we do need is to make sure that that is a URL. This might be a little bit tricky now. Because we have to make sure that it's title. Let's see what we get for E and E.target. I'm interested to see. We get... I think we need to check based on its class. If the class is link title, and input element dot, what was it again? Contains class list, whoopsie, dot contains it was input link title. There we go. Because then that way, this is only going to trigger for the title. www dot heads up we try and call, and if we try it here, it shouldn't work because so that works, and that won't trigger. Perfect. Now that needs to trigger if it's just the reverse of this basically. Should we have it as an else if? I know we have a lot of duplication here, so we're gonna have to probably sort that out at some point. Did the complexity just like ramp up because of that? That's so silly. And maybe let's not have a... It doesn't like it, there's too many ifs. What if we make it its own function? I just feel we're gonna have so many functions in the end. Validate URL. if e.target dot value there, then we can validate URL for the URL one. So let's try that now. URL pattern is not defined. Forgot that one, didn't we? I could just do that, couldn't I? But that looks a bit nasty, doesn't it? That only triggers so that should only trigger afterwards. This should be part of our validate form function. We need a default variable here, event error string, and toggle. By default it's true. And then we just had an if here. If toggle. The if toggle is true, by default it will be. We will toggle these. So if toggle, we can hide it again. So let's just see that that didn't break anything else. This should hide again. Perfect. Because why we want that is when you click the format button, we need to have the errors permanently display and not obviously just hide, because then the user may not get to it. So we pass on toggle false. Is toggle good, or do we name it something else? Toggle There's I think toggle's fine. If we think of something better, we can just rename it, I guess. Story of my life. So we need to call validate form when we click on format. And it wants us to not have it hoisted. So there you go. E is not defined. Validate form E, there you go. So if I enter a D here and I click format, oh, E is undefined now. Damn it. But validate form this is gonna actually be tricky. I just realized now the event, it's kind of lost it. It's not gonna know what triggered it. So E is not gonna work on this case. We're gonna have to specify. But that's fine. Link. I think I just did title and URL, yeah. URL equal to document.query selector input link URL. And now we don't have to make sure that the class is that class because we've now literally given it the class. Show error. Think that should work. Okay, we need to see what URL is. URL is null. Oh, it's a query selector. I'm using it incorrectly. What if we did input? So input dot input link URL. I think that should work. Or find the first input with that class. There you go. So that worked. Input link URL. But now event.target is undefined. So we're getting there, small steps. So go to show error now. It's gonna give us what we need. And then show error basically takes the event, the error string, We basically need to remove event and just give a target. So there's a simple way around this. We again use an if toggle. If toggle. So if toggle is true, this is what so let element will equal this. Else element will equal literally event without the target, because we already got the target. Boom! It worked! Please ensure the URL is in www or HTTP. And then when we start typing, we need to make sure it gets removed. So that's step one. Also have another issue if it's blank. And URL dot value not equal to blank. That shouldn't trigger now anymore. If I go format, we won't get the error. Perfect. But if I had like some random stuff in there and I go format, we should get the error. There we go. Works brilliantly. And then we can turn this into a... Where's our show error function? There it is. We can turn this into a ternary. So value if true. Does that not work? I think it's this without element. And then I don't need this if, I think. That should work the same, I believe. So we get no errors. Get an error there, perfect. And if I enter something here, we get an error. Yes! Amazing. Apparently show error needs to go right to the top. Then we need to... Are we gonna have the URL pattern? Guess it's neater that way. Input element is not defined. Oh, e.target. Because I'm not going to create another variable just for that. There you go, heads up. Are you? Maybe instead of heads up, just say, just ask, are you? Instead of the URL's title. Are you entering a URL instead of the URL's title? Cool. And I do want to know what this is going to look like on mobile. If it's too long, because we always got to go mobile first to base my error messages on that. Might have to make it a bit smaller or something. Is it not text size? Oh. Man. Always tripping me up. I think 16 should be fine. $14 pixels maybe? Not changing anything. Do like 12. Where's Euro? Can I somehow shorten that? Are you entering a URL instead of the URL's title? Are you entering a URL instead of the title? Maybe that's better. And how can we shorten this? The URL needs to be in W or HTTP. Format, yeah, there we go. That's better. Everything else should be fine. Cool. So we now max limit as well, and that looks good. What needs to happen now? What other validation do we need? Let's go from the top. That we've done. You can only enter numerical values, and it needs to be greater than 0. Covered that. Date. You need to enter. Does it consider it empty, I wonder? Let's find out. Document.get element by ID, input date dot value. It's empty. Still empty. Interesting. You need to do... Okay, so... we've got validate URL, validate title. So we're gonna need validate date E. If e.target.value is blank, show an error. And then we need to assign that to input date. Validate date. So if I go format now, oh, but this is not going to show up. We don't need it for input date, actually, now that I think about it. At least I don't think we will. We can have it in the validate form. If the date is blank, show error. And we're not going to remove that. So if we leave date, if we just leave date and we click format, we should get an error. We don't get an error. But isn't it blank? It's blank. Input date. And isn't it input date? Oh, it is input date. Can I get a log for date, please? It is. So why did we not... Is there an error for it under date? There's error hidden. If date is blank, show error date. Please enter date in year, month, month, day format. False. Oh, hold on. If date.value. There you go. That triggered an error. Do mobile users not get like a little thing to click to select the date? That's weird. I would have thought they would have. Progress just needs to not be blank. Cool. Const progress equal to document dot. Guess we could do query selector. Input dot input progress. Whoops. That should be all we need. And we're going to show an error. So if I leave progress out, we're going to get an error. Please enter your progress for this day. And on mobile, is that short enough? Yeah, that is. And the day as well. Query selector input dot input day. Yeah, it's gotten complicated. We need to refactor this function. At least we're getting the validation rolling. Please enter the challenge day you... Please enter the challenge day you are logging. Is that right? Please enter the challenge day you are logging for, or you are logging. Please enter the challenge day. That should be fine. If I skip that, we want errors for the required. Please enter the challenge day you are logging. Perfect. Please enter a date in year, month, day format. Please enter your progress for this day. Time spent is not required, so you're not going to get errors. Thoughts are required. We need to add that. Work references are not required. So we just need to add thoughts as well. And we need a refactor. One if too many. Apparently you can have like 3 ifs and that's it. Let me just do that and rename this to thoughts and progress. Copy this, paste that. If thoughts.value is blank, thoughts, and please enter your thoughts for this day. Apparently not. Thoughts is null. Did I forget .value? I didn't. Is it not input thoughts? Input thoughts, it is. Thoughts. Please enter your thoughts for this day. Sure. That should work. Thoughts is no. What? Document.get element by ID. Input thoughts. Dot value. It. That's confusing. Thought says no. Is it because it's a text area? So you can't check based on that? Can I not use value? Because that seemed to work. If thoughts.value, why is that suddenly an issue? That's weird. But it seems to work fine in the browser. Well, I'm using get element by ID though. Let's try something. Dot value. It is null. It's null. Wait, like the actual object is null. Oh, because it's not an input. It's a text area. Text area dot input thoughts. There you go. Not an input. Text area dot input thoughts. My bad. So please enter the challenge that you're logging. Please enter a date in year, month, day format. Please enter your progress for this day. Please enter your thoughts for this day. And that's it. Cool. So there are errors. Now we need to have a function where every time you type in a field that has an error, it needs to fade that error away. So we just literally call it function remove errors. Only issues then, that's going to require us to have to register yet another event handler. But the ones that we're currently working with are monitor form. Is there any way we can add it into monitor form somehow? Maybe. Hold on. If we have to check for the class. If e.target.class_list.contains error. Then we're just going to toggle. Same as we do with the actual errors. Then we don't need remove errors. Where show error? That's all we need. We don't need a timeout or anything. So if it contains a class list error while you're typing, input element.classlist toggle error, toggle hidden. That should be all we need. So then, let's say you clicked format. I gotta stop that. And then here's day. So as you're typing, it does nothing. It should though. But it literally does nothing. No validation is happening at all. If it contains error, why are we not getting here? Do we even get into this function? Oh, we do, but only if we enter a numerical value. Input day, input and monitor form. What? We can't enter. That's strange. Oh, I see what's happening. I think it's because it's being blocked. This needs to be first. What we got there. Class list. Okay, what is input element? I want to know. Oh, we need to find the freaking error. Okay, we need to find the error, that's why. It's that. We need to find the span. So I think we need to do parent node. That will bring us out one. So that's flex column dot span. I think that's how we did it in our errors. If I'm not mistaken. I don't think that span's gonna work. Yep, undefined. Dot query selector span. That should work. Error hidden. Perfect. So we're gonna set error element query selector span, and then if error element dot class list contains error. There we go. That should work. So now if you formatted this, and then here please enter the challenge that you're logging. If I enter 2, oh no, fade the error element. Don't fade our input. Where's our user gonna type something now? Damn it! Error element dot class list. Don't take our error. Oh, don't take our input away. That would be funny, imagine. Okay, so there. Now you put a 2 in. There you go. Great. So that works. But what happens if I enter something invalid? Please enter the challenge that you're logging. I put a D in, it does nothing. That's a problem. I should be given an error. So what's preventing it from doing that? If the input element.value is less than 1, and input element value is blank, which it is. Oh no, that's if the number is greater than 0. Oh wait, that's fine. That's not the issue. So what? It's our other function. What was our other function again? It's not monitor. It's not validate. It's not show error. We had another function. Jeez. I need to put them all together. What was this one? Validate numbers only. Oh, did I change this? Input day on key press. Validate numbers only. E and 0. It is. So validate numbers only. Show error E error 0 or error 1. That should work. Oh, I get what the issue is. Under show error, when we get into show error now, we've got a check, which is basically if it already contains a class list error, return. We did that to block it from appearing and reappearing several times. So this works, it just doesn't change it to... So it will fade it away. Please enter the day as a numerical value. It's not going to show that up. Please enter the challenge day. So if I go J, it gets into that function, but it's going to do nothing because there's already an error on it. So maybe we must add and remove a class, like a temporary one. You know what we can do? In show error, if toggle is true, we got error hidden, we got error, there's just one more thing. I'm trying to think, but I can't really think right now. Error hidden, error. I could add error static to it. Error static. And right at the end, you remove error static. But it's gonna have error static. So if the class list contains error, the class list contains error static. We don't want to fade the error out, we just want it to work. we want it to still work. Add this to an else if, and add a if here. Element.classlist.contains error static. If it contains error static, then I want you to toggle it. As in take it off. Else if, and this should always be true if it's from a static, and false, and it will go straight to error anyway. But this will never get to the else if there's a static, which is what we want, and then it should continue running its course. Let's try it out and see if I'm right. The day you're currently on. So if I enter the wrong day, please enter, and let's just make sure that we watch what's happening to the... So error static and error. There we go. It said please enter, but then it fades it out as well. Please enter the day as a numerical value. Okay, that was weird. So let's see the logic of what happens. It will toggle error static, as in remove error static. It starts with error static if I'm not mistaken. Let's just make sure. So it starts... It starts with error static, right. So it gets in here, it has error static, it's going to toggle error static. So error static is going to be removed. Now we're going to be left with error. It's going to put what it needs to put in there. It's going to toggle error static. I think that's the issue. I'll have to see. Then it's going to toggle error hidden, meaning that it's going to hide it. And then it's going to toggle the error, which is not what we want to do. But then it's going to hide it, then show the error, then show the error, then unhide it. So the error is permanently there. Where's error static being added? Am I adding that somewhere else? Because when we validate the form, we are calling show... No? We are doing show error, and then show error toggles error static. We can display the error, the new error that needs to be displayed, but then we mustn't... We removed error static, we displayed the new error, And we mustn't hide it or remove the error. So that needs to be part of an else. If, else, if, else. This all needs to be part of an else. So error static is going to be off. Then we're going to toggle the error, and then we're going to hide it, and we're going to re-add. So I might have to add static back again. But then why even toggle static here in the first place? I think, yeah, that should be it then. Let's try it out and see. So we got error and error static. Cool. Then I hit D. It changed it to please enter the day as a numerical value, and then it fades it out. Perfect. Error is hidden. Enter something else. Please enter the day as a numerical value. Error static. Then error hidden. Perfect. Now we've run into an issue. Error static is still there. And how did we reproduce that? Started with error static being logged. Now it's error hidden. Enter a value, it's fine. I see where it got stuck now when you call it multiple times. So here's what we're gonna have to do. It's not gonna be added here. This is causing issues. That stays the way it is. But where we call show error, we are going to have to add error static to those classes. So for day, if day.value, we're going to have to do day.classless.toggle error static. So for all of these basically. Progress, sorts, they all need error statics that get removed. There we go. So now it's just error hidden. We go format. Okay, but it's on the wrong one now. It's not on the error span anymore. We might have to do the whole We might have to do this. Day.parent node .query selector span .classless toggle. Because we are adding it to the actual thing, not the errors. There we go. There we go. Span class error hidden. Okay, something went wrong there. Oh, it immediately like... Okay, I think I know what's going on. Because we're calling show error. Oh, I think we need to swap the lines around, if I'm not mistaken. I think we need to call show error first to show the error. Then we need to add the error static to it. There you go, error static. So that one will show an error, the others won't show. Cool, yeah. Now let's test the logic while we're busy. So there's error static. If I hit D, please enter the day as a numerical value, and it fades out. Can I trigger it multiple times? No, I can't. Cool. So that works fine. The only way we're gonna get static is if we hit the format button. Can we break it? Nope, doesn't look like we can break it. What if we hit format twice? Oh, something happened here. It's not reverting now. Once we hit it twice. Okay, so we broke something there. So it comes in. It contains error static. Element classless.toggle error static. So it takes it off. Then it changes it to the error message. Cool. Then it's done with this if statement. Then if toggle was true, which it's not going to be, is that the reason? I think that's the reason. We don't toggle. We toggle. Let's just get a little message going there for us. Hey Benstack, how's it going? Is there a way to make C++ Windows applications in VS Code? I generally don't work with C++. I know there are some plugins. I know for C# at least, you can install Chocolatey on Windows, and then you get a compiler that allows you to basically compile and run your code. But it's, VS Code is not an IDE, so you would probably use Visual Studio for that. But I know there's that compiler, like I said. You could probably check that out. I know there's one for C#, but I'm sure there's one for C++. Please enter the challenge that you're logging. So that's error static. So I get a new error, we get error. Does that fade out? It does. It calls error hidden. And our log said, got here, we don't toggle, meaning Oh, it got out of that. Interesting, so we never toggle. Oh, we do toggle once. How did we get the function call twice, though? Hold on. I want to clear this. No man, clear. Okay, so we get we don't toggle. Because it got in there once. And what it did was, if the class contains error static, it will toggle error static. But it didn't contain it, meaning it skipped that completely. It did none of that. All it did was say we don't toggle. That's all. That's literally all it did. It came in here to say we don't toggle. That's all it does, because toggle is off. Great. So we don't toggle, then enter another key. We get we don't toggle again. Reason being, we escaped the if. And then we got we toggle, which it should, because it's going to toggle that error. Okay, so that is fine. But how did we run into that issue where eventually we got it where the error stayed? Because now I can't replicate that. No matter how many times. Yeah, so that doesn't trigger it. So the time it does get triggered is during static. Something goes wrong here. So if I keep spamming this, I can eventually get it stuck. Well, apparently that didn't work. But there was a time I did get it stuck. There. There. I got it stuck there. So let's try and reproduce that. Oh! No! I was pretty sure it was stuck. And now it's not stuck. That doesn't help us. Are you stuck now? It seems to be stuck now, yeah. It genuinely is stuck. Good. It's stuck. But I don't think that has anything to do with the static hidden that we're doing. It's got a combination to do with entering values and not entering values. But I can't reliably produce it. And there I got it again. So hitting D there you go. I think I figured it out. So if you can toggle error hidden and leave it as such, when it's done with its loop, it's going to toggle it again and we're going to get error. Meaning it's going to stick. I thought we solved that, but clearly something messed up. So it's first going to check if it has error static. Else, if the element class list contains error, which it will, we're going to return. We're going to do nothing. So if it already has error, do nothing. Otherwise, toggle error hidden and error. Oh, I think I know where the issue is. So it gets to this else, and then it still does the if. If toggle is true, even if we... No, but that shouldn't be the case. Because if it finds that a class has error, it's going to return. So it never gets down to here, so it's something else. I just want to see if I can reliably produce it. There we go. I can do it with just the scroll key. So now we know. There, right there. That's how you get it stuck. So it's got nothing to do with the keys. The issue now is our other function that's causing an issue. And that is the... I think it's validate numbers. So let me just make sure. For input day, yeah, it's validate numbers only. And that basically calls show error. So every time it's going to call it. It's going to call show error. But it should see that it has a... It should see that it has error. I just want to try something different. And unhide. There you go. Yeah, it's still happening. So it's not this function. That's for sure now. So that's not the issue. The issue is now where we're calling show error from validate numbers. So maybe we can do a filter here if error element dot class list dot contains error. It already contains error. It should be if not. If it doesn't contain error, then you can show the error. Well, we're gonna break. Okay, this should fix this issue. Nope. Still managed to get it stuck. So if I toggle it twice, how does it manage to do that? Is it every time? It's not this one. It's the wrong one. I'm checking the wrong one. It's not this one. This is not the one causing the issue. It's not validate numbers only. It is when a number is less than. It's monitor form. It's is it validate? No, it's monitor form. Man, I really need to sort this out. The logic is getting too much. It's monitor form. Please enter a number. Oh, that's what we're doing. If error element.classlist.contains error, we're the cause of this the whole time. Oh, we can fix this now. Instead of this being error, it's error static. That's the one. If it has error static, we want to toggle error and make the error hidden again. I'm glad I solved that one. But now the only issue is with show error at the top here. Okay, let's see what we've done now. I think we solved this one issue. So you can't do it multiple times now, you see? That doesn't work. So you can't break it. Cool. Great stuff. Then, when we hit format, you're gonna get error static. Please enter the challenge day you're logging. Please enter the day as a numerical value. And then fades it out. Yeah, there we go. That solved it. So we needed a combination of two. Reason being show error also has the key press toggle. So if you ran a key, it will come through here. And we need to check if it contains error static, remove error static, show the new error. Else if the class list contains error but no error static, we're just going to escape out of that function completely. I don't think we need an else anymore. Or actually no, we do, because when it's done with this, it's gonna try to do this, but it can't because toggle is off. No, so we need it in the else. So if it doesn't contain an error, then we're gonna show the error, toggle hidden, meaning to show it again, and toggle error. So it's no longer hidden and it is an error. And then afterwards, reverse that. Wow, the logic got complicated. Like seriously super complicated. At least it's working. Okay, now let's make sure it works for each one. Okay, it's no longer triggering on progress. Can't remember what I changed. It's only doing it for day. I did, oh right, the order in which I called them. So you need to toggle the static class after you call show error. So we want to show the error. I wonder if I can't just make that a... Because we're already passing a boolean of... What if we passed a boolean and we made it static? Because we're showing the error. Hold on. We're passing toggle as true, but if we pass it as false, if toggle, so if it's not toggle, we can literally toggle class. We can add the static right here. We can add the static in this, in the single function. Just like that. There we go. That then means I don't have to do it for every single line. Way neater. So let's go give that a try. We should get all the errors on every single one again. Please enter the challenge that you're logging. If I enter any value here, it doesn't change. Okay, so we run into an issue here. Do we have static? We don't have static. Oh, this is interesting. Very interesting. We have error hidden. If I go format, it shows an error, but it didn't add the class error static. Interesting. It didn't hide them either. Okay, so this is how it runs. If it contains error static, it's going to toggle it, but it's not. So this if is going to pass, then it's going to check, does it contain an error? That's also going to fail. Sorry, that's going to fail, that's going to fail. So the only thing left to do is an else, which is show the error string, toggle the element from hidden, and show the error. Oh, so that else declaration needs to be there. That's why. So that's where we add error static. So you must either have a static or you must have an error. I'm just worried something else triggers it, so I'm rather going to add an else if, not toggle. Just to be safe, I don't want to add static to anything else. Okay, that didn't literally do anything at all. Weird why adding not toggle would do that. Just format. Okay, it was an issue with our... That's why. We had an extra... There we go. Format. We got error, but we didn't... Why did I say contain? It must be toggle. Toggle error static. No wonder this didn't work. So then the else would have worked all along. Have that there. There, we have error static now. Whew! Took longer than I expected. Add a non-number. Yes! Please enter the day as a numerical value. Fades out. Okay, but now we can do it multiple times. It's no longer responding to anything. Oh god. What have we done? That just like broke it beyond repair. It's not even responding. Like literally none of our JavaScript is... That's weird. It's blocking input, but... Oh, I didn't add an else back to this. I had the else if still. My bad. Okay, we have error static again. Can this work now? Error. Cool. Cool. Less than 0. Perfect. We can't have multiple errors. We can't break it. Great. Enter an actual value. Enter the progress for today. Okay, so these aren't checking. Okay, so these aren't live checks. Date and progress. I just gotta remember where I did that for date. That's validate form. Where was I doing it live? That was under validate numbers only. That's why. No, it should be monitor form. If error element the classlist contains error static. Do you guys not have error static? Yeah, you do. You have error static. So if the class list contains error static, toggle error hidden. But did I add those to monitor form? I didn't. That's why date is not part of it. Date. There we go. Another thing that I realized that might be an issue with our monitor form is it only toggles error and error hidden. It still leaves error static. That might be an issue if you're typing. So watch this one. It has error and error static. Enter a number. It still has error static. So we definitely, I think, need to remove error static. Cool. There it goes. Enter progress. We didn't do progress, we only did date. So let's check for date to make sure that that is a thing, that it's still working. So enter anything for date, like today's date, and there we go, the error goes away. And the span for it is just error hidden, perfect. Now let's add it for the rest and we should be good. So that was for date. What's after date? Progress. So after date is progress. Date, progress. Hours and minutes we're not going to do. Thoughts is one of them. Input thoughts. is one of them, and I think that's all. Title and URL do also get statics if you enter something that's not a URL. So I go format. So that one is a static. So URL is also going to need one. Input link URL. Cool. Now let's just make sure that, okay, hold on. Let's completely reset this. So let's format again and let's make sure it all disappears like it should. So if I enter a day here, this should disappear. If I enter a date, this should disappear. If I enter some progress or type, it should disappear. If I enter something, if I just try to change this, it should disappear. Perfect. It's working as it should. Only one that I didn't test is thoughts. And there we go. Thoughts is working as well. And it's fully dynamic, so at any point in time if something changes, you'll see the error again. Perfect. Perfect. Wonderful. That's awesome. So validation is working. And if you try to enter something that looks like a URL, you're going to get a message. Are you entering a URL instead of the title? And that goes away. Perfect stuff. So stop typing a URL in the title box and you won't get that message. I mean, you could safely ignore it because it doesn't stay there, and it's not an error. It's just like a heads up. It's just like, hey, did you mean to do that kind of thing? Yeah. So that's it. I think I'm gonna end things off here for now. I'm happy with that. We're gonna have to definitely clean up the validation, but I'm not gonna do that. That's gonna be part of a refactoring when I've released it. I gotta remind myself this is never gonna get done if I'm just gonna constantly work on it and try to make it better, because like, where do you draw a line? You know, it can always be better. Like, now I want to do a function that adds all of these events for key presses or inputs, because look how long this is getting. In the beginning it was fine, there was only 3 of them. But the moment you have like, what is this? How many lines? Can't tell. That's like, what, over 10? It gets crazy. So that needs to change. And the error logging needs to be better. Or just not all over the place, and try to merge it and, I don't know, do something. Anyway, these need to be properly hoisted. Let's see if we can fix these errors before we go. Errors is assigned... Yeah, because I don't think we're ever going to use errors. So errors can go. Error element is assigned a value but never used. It is... Oh, is it not used? Validate numbers only. Yeah, okay. Well, if it's not used, then that can go. Input element is never used either. Yeah, because we did it a bit differently. E is defined but never used. Validate URL. Oh, because we have nothing in this function. Expected. Right, there's that problem solved. Right, there's that problem solved. Unexpected assignment within a do while. I'll have to sort that out tomorrow. Validate URL. Well, we have nothing in validate URL, so... And these things need to go with the errors, because they're all part of errors. Let's take all these. We got validate form. Then we're gonna have. We got validate form. We're gonna have monitor form. Validate numbers only. Monitor can be right up there. Validate form. Validate numbers only. Validate title. Oh, did I duplicate this at some point? I have 2 monitor forms? Yeah, I did. Validate title, exactly the same. Cool, cool. Perfect, perfect. Wonderful. I love it. So cool. And then we have to make sure this doesn't show. So let me just make a note for myself. Copy output. Not copy output, sorry, format. Where's format? So that I've already done. Add a little note for myself. Maybe have it bold so that I'll see it easier. Cool, yeah, and that's it. Then tomorrow we can just do the tiny little bit left of these validations and do the CSS, because today was pretty much the back-end stuff. Do some front-end tomorrow, and then I think we're going to be good to launch this. I'm just excited for that. Can't wait. But yeah, I'm going to end things off here for now, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Hope you guys have an amazing one. Until then, bye for now.